Imitation, they say, is the most sincere form of flattery. That is, until you find a young one, a child, perhaps mimicking the parts of your personality that you wish that they didn't, or the words that you've said that they wish that they hadn't heard. There's something about us as human beings, in fact, it's built into our DNA, that capacity to learn by following what someone else is doing. In fact, our brains are wired to do that. We have mirror neurons that as a baby, you'll see, that's why parents will smile at their child, and gradually the child sees that and begins to mimic it. They learn by what we do. We learn by example until we have the words and the capacity to learn in different ways. So we all follow, we all learn, we all kind of copy various things to help us to develop and be. Now, whether you're aware of that or not, have you ever found yourself doing something that somebody else has been doing and you thought, why did I do that? Because you've seen what they've done and you've taken it on board. In this letter that Paul is writing to the Thessalonians, he talks quite a bit. And last week he mentioned that they were to imitate him. And in here he's talking about the Thessalonians having imitated the churches in Judea. Now, he goes in to explain what they were imitating. They were imitating the fact that actually they were steadfast, they were strong, they were faithful in the midst of real challenges that were round about them. Friday, I had the opportunity to fulfill a long-held dream. It was my day off, and I chose to travel down to my favourite place. You all know where that is, unless you've not been here before, and if you haven't, it's Lindisfarne, the Holy Island in Northumberland. Because a friend of mine was leading a day retreat. And as part of that day retreat, and don't worry, if you think you're signing up for August, you're not going to be asked to do this, because there isn't time. But we were given the opportunity to walk across the sands to get to Holy Island. And so we left early, got down there, met with the other folks who were going to be on the part of this pilgrimage, and we set off. And I have to confess, I imagined that there would just be our little group and maybe one or two other walkers gainly walking across the sands. Well, we got there, and there was this coachload of American tourists who got out of their boats, out of their bus, proceeded to cross the road and start on the track. Some of them did what we did, took off socks and shoes, because we had known that there were people who had done that before. They'd walked the pilgrimage. The advice was, take off your socks and shoes and just experience it. Well, there was a lovely lady who was behind us who decided that that was not what she was going to do. And she had her socks and her shoes on and her raincoat and her shopping bag. And she gainfully walked her way across those 3 miles. I mean, I was up to almost my knees in mud at one point. Didn't think I was going to get out, but I did. But this lady, when I spoke to her, she said, she said, I wish I had done what everybody else said to do. She says, but there's nothing I can do about it now. I'm just going to have to keep going. And she did. And her feet were absolutely caked with mud, but on she went. And there's something about the image, for me, what I wanted to also bring out from that was, as part of that, I thought there was just like a few people who were going. But when you stood and you saw streams of people walking those pilgrim poles, heading towards the island, there was a really powerful image of what God is doing with us. There's that following in the footsteps of those who have gone before, the saints, the people of faith who have chosen to make a journey to go somewhere in search of God. Now, God is with us on that journey. Absolutely, God is with us on that journey. But there's something in the learning on that journey that is important. Now, why am I saying that about this? I'm saying that because in the Thessalonians were imitating the churches in Judea. They were over in Greece, for goodness sake. But they were hearing about what was going on in the rest of the world. They were hearing about, well, do you know, what was it about these churches in Judea? They were close to where Jesus was. What were they doing that we need to be learning from so that we can be steadfast in our faith? So that's really all I want to say to you this morning, is be encouraged to look beyond our shores. One of the other things that struck me was in that Holy Island is a very small island. You can walk around it in a couple of hours. But the horizons are absolutely endless. So it doesn't matter how small the place you're in, how few the resources seem to be, there are endless possibilities around when God is involved. So as we as we continue to seek God for the vision of what he's going to do in the churches here in the Carse in the coming years, we have a God who's a God of possibilities, the God of impossibilities. And we need to hold on to that and to trust that in the process of what happens, as things unfold, God has a plan and a purpose for these lands. There have been Christian witness here for centuries. And God's not going to let that go out, and neither will we.